From the start, there was the suggestion that Madeleine might have been taken out of Portugal, into Spain, and by boat to Morocco.
Morocco is a half an hour's ferry ride away from Spain, and it is quite likely that she was taken there as much as anywhere else in the world. And we're concentrating on Portugal, Spain and Morocco as the primary areas where Madeleine may be, and the media interest follows that.
The British media were happy to pursue this line of the story.
In the case of the Madeleine McCann story, Morocco became an ingredient. When all the other options came along, there was the French angle, the German angle, Italian angle, the Portuguese angle, but when Morocco came along, it sold better. For the media it was more mysterious and exotic, and that sells, and the journalists used that ingredient, which then allowed them to sell the story a bit more. Morocco is a Muslim country, an Arab country. The word Muslim to some people means 9/11, Muslim, terrorists, villes and beers. It's the most dominant cliché. The other cliché is that it's a disorganized country. You can get away with anything criminal. It's a jungle. It's a cliché, but it exists.
Coverage of the Moroccan angle centered on reported sightings of Madeleine, although most were quickly discounted. This picture was different. 5 months after Madeleine's disappearance, a Spanish tourist took the photo during a holiday to the Rif Mountains in Morocco. The possibility that it was Madeleine was enough to unleash a media blitz.
There were probably about 10 or 15 on the same flight, which is pretty much every sort of British newspaper was on that flight. I mean, we just got there minutes before everybody else. I mean, it was all pretty nerve-wracking. It was all very kind of fly-by-your-pants kind of journalism. We took photographs, so we set off in the car, and it was kind of tight for us anyway, because we're an evening newspaper, so we had to find her within a couple of hours and track her down. And we actually found her by matching up the trees and the telephone cables in the background of the photograph to the road that we were driving along. And when we got there, we met a local man called Indepth who knew the family and took us to meet them. It was all sort of very exciting at the time, and I just rang back the newsroom in London. It was, we found her. It's not Madeleine, and we were the first newspaper to publish the story. And once it did break, I was then sort of interviewed across the world, sort of America, Australia, Europe, and it was just remarkable, that was one of the biggest news stories in the world that day.
I first heard of it, it was on the media, and what I did was pick up my phone and phone Gerry, what's happening, and he said to me, it's already been checked out, it's not true, it's not Madeleine.
This is the little girl in the picture. Her name is Bushra Ben Isa. Her family of olive farmers live in a small mountain village. Having had their lives turned upside down by the foreign media, they remain traumatized by the experience and wary of outsiders. Many months after the photo was published, her family is still feeling stung by its media experience. Our program team traveled to meet the family, having arranged to do so through a local Moroccan journalist. On arrival, however, Bushra's parents were reluctant to speak. It took much discussion to persuade them that we were not going to report that their child was in fact Madeleine McCann.
Yes, we're all over the place. As you can see, our family is all over the place. The family is ruined, and we ourselves are scared. She is our daughter, our flesh and blood. We've got our documents to prove it, and the authorities. And if you suspect us or something, then go to the courts or the king.
But we do not suspect you at all.
Okay, thank you.
But if you could tell us about the journalists.
You can see what's happening for yourselves. We're scared.
Why would we want to steal someone else's daughter? May God help everyone. May God help her find her daughter. But as for our daughter, please leave her alone.
For Bushra and her family, the Madeleine story hit home.
The girl is very scared. She can't even walk up the road. If she goes, she says, the Christians are going to come for me. She spends the night with her arms around her dad's neck, or holding on to me, or her sister. She says, the Christians are coming for me. The Christians are coming for me.
I'm quite saddened to hear that as well. I don't know what the aftermath of. I thought it was just an intense sort of day or two for them. I didn't realise that there'd been some repercussions after that. But I'm sorry to hear that. I think people might be critical of the media's coverage, but there was a genuine sort of public interest in that story that day. There was a real kind of possibility, a faint glimmer of hope that it could be Madeleine, the blonde hair, the kind of incongruousness of the picture.
There are clichés about other countries and people, the British, Chinese. That doesn't bother me, but what does bother me is when an important story, like the disappearance of Maddie, you turn it into an argument that it must be Maddie because there aren't any blondes in Morocco. You turn Maddie into a cartoon character in a children's story like The Jungle Book. You make her like a little white girl lost in the jungle. It's that aspect that's bothered me.
C'est ce côté-là un petit peu, c'est ce côté qui nous a dérangés.
The press are always harsh in this country on foreigners, on foreign parts. There's an inbuilt xenophobia, and that definitely was directed at the Portuguese. When it moves on to the African continent, especially to Morocco, it becomes even fiercer because you're now dealing with a country seen as barbaric, uncivilized, not having the same religion even as Britain and so on.
How on earth is me helping to try and find a little girl an example of some historical imperialism? It is utter nonsense. I understand why people might feel that way, and I feel very sorry that they do. They are entitled to their point of view. Madeleine has caught the attention of the media for a whole host of reasons. It's a huge human interest story. Anybody can relate to, in one sense, the grief of trauma of a child going missing.
What surprised me was the way the media took over the story of the little girl's disappearance, because usually it's the job of the police to find a missing child. Instead of letting the police get on with doing their job, it became a media event, like an episode of a TV reality show, a show that was going to get her back.
We don't go anywhere. They came and embarrassed us in front of the whole world. Our pictures are absolutely everywhere, and we have not received anything at all. Nothing at all. Why? If this happened to Christian people or anyone else, if something happened to them, they would have to be compensated, wouldn't they?
I think it was probably the best story that I've ever worked on. So I think there was a lot of congratulations. So it was pretty exciting stuff, I have to say. I just wish every day like that. Those are the days that you sort of get excited about, and those are days that you sort of dream about, and you can have in journalism. And it was a highlight of my career.
For all of the interest the foreign media had in the Moroccan angle of the story, few Moroccans are aware of it. This was the only poster seen by our production team during filming in Casablanca, Tangiers, and Rabat.
No, I haven't got a clue. The most important thing is, I don't have a clue about anything about the English. I have no idea. We don't hear much about it in Morocco.
No, I haven't heard.
I haven't heard. It's the first time I've heard about this piece of news. It's new to me.
This is the first time I heard the campaign of Madeleine McCann. McCann or McCann? McCann. It's complicated. His name is complicated.
Next, the man the McCanns have hired to protect them from the media.